No.
No.
No, and you look at that menu up there, and I call it a menu because just like pick whatever you want to order. There's so many good players and such a great story. But I really do. I hate to blow back on this, but it's just I think there's a heavy naivete when it comes to saying how great the Bengals are going to be this year, and it's not their fault. The last 6 teams in a row to lose the Super Bowl have gone down offensively the following year. That includes Mahomes Chiefs, McVay Rams, Brady Patriots. It just happens, and we've made the case that, as you just did, James, they didn't lose anybody, and they added. It doesn't matter. There's real practical reasons these teams have tougher times. Is the schedule is harder, the injury luck isn't as good, people are out for them. But I also just think, like, look, Joe Burrow, I think, shocked some people last year. Jamar Chase definitely shocked some people the first 2 months. You're shocking no one. And it's just going to be much harder. It always is. It's so easy to look at the young sensation team and say, oh, my God, they're going to be there every year. Guys, it doesn't work out that way. And it's not personal about the Bengals. I love everything they have going on. How could you not? They will struggle this year. Maybe early, maybe in middle time, maybe late. Every team does. It's been the last 9 out of 10 losing Super Bowl teams. The offense is not as good the following year. I don't think theirs will either. That guy is going to have 12 defenders on him every single play. I just think it's fair. It's like, sometimes you have this sensational album that just blows a band up. The next album always is a step back. Like the one after Nirvana, Nevermind, In Utero was fine. Bush's second album sucked. Like Candlebox's second album sucked. That was their. I go back to Candlebox. It was Rage Against the Machine was great. Evil Empire, they did it. Oh. Now that's the exception. And Jamie, that's a great poll. I saw them at the Garden last week. Maybe they will have their Evil Empire album, but I still think it could be a little bit of Razor Blade Suitcase by Bush, which was a huge step back. I like the Bengals.
Burrow sort of looks like the kid on the album for Rage Against the Machine, kid with the cape, like that might be him.
Got the E on it.
Yeah,
that's a good call.
I feel like
no one's ever said that in history.
I feel like the noise has been a little bit louder for this Bengals team because it was such an unforeseen circumstance to see them. So it was like America fell in love with them essentially at the Super Bowl. Then they lost that game, and now everyone's on board. They're like, no, we just got on board. We want them to go all the way back. So unlike other teams maybe that we would have expected for them to be in the Super Bowl, I just feel like this particular offseason for the Bengals, the volume has been quite loud.
Yeah, for sure. And for the top offense in the league, they haven't been to the Super Bowl in the Buffalo Bills. So I think they may be the ones getting back. And for me, Josh Allen is that good. Why they'll be the best offense in football. And then, Gabe Davis, we watched him in that playoff game last year, 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, and he was the big receiver. He'd been playing well all year, but more of a red zone target. They had Emmanuel Sanders, they had Cole Beasley, they had other guys that were taking targets away from him. But the way he ended the last football game he played in last season, you better believe he's going to be one of Josh Allen's main targets this season. And then Isaiah McKenzie, all the talk in training camp has been, hey, they signed Jamison Crowder to be the slot taking over for Cole Beasley. But Isaiah McKenzie has been the guy. He only played in one game last year where he had more than 3 targets. That was against the New England Patriots. He had 12 targets, 11 catches, 125 yards, and a touchdown. So I'm excited to see what this guy's going to do with more targets. And then they drafted a guy, James Cook, a running back who can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're loaded. Explosive. And yes, I know this team is not going to be a running offense. They're not going to hand the ball off every single play. They're going to keep the ball in Josh Allen's hands. But when he checks it down, when he hands the ball off to James Cook, watch out. This guy is explosive. And I've just talked about 3 guys on the offense and haven't even mentioned Stephon Diggs. And that just goes to show.
That's insane.
Exactly. It's
James
a menu,
Cook
like Kyle said, and they can select any of those guys. And Josh Allen is the one ordering up. So I'm excited.
I'm going to push back on you here.
Let's go.
I want to know as a player, and tell me how much of a big deal this is. So they come back with everybody, and Brian Callahan, the offensive coordinator, who draws it all up, he's back, and Zach Taylor's an offensive coach. Brian Daboll is considered really the maestro behind that Bills offense, which was surging at the right times last season. How big of a deal that Ken Dorsey is now the offensive coordinator and Joe Brady's the quarterback's coach, as opposed to what they had last year, which was Daboll and Dorsey.
The one thing I heard Josh Allen talk about in training camp was the fact that the quarterback's coach, he's in the room with them every single day, beyond just X's and O's. He talked about it in an interview during camp. He said, we're sharing life stories. We're getting to know each other. He's been in that room with Josh Allen the past 3 seasons. So, yes, if they would have went out and got a new offensive coordinator, has to learn the system and all of that, it's a little bit different. But Ken Dorsey's been in-house. Not only is he learning Daboll's system, a part of Daboll's system, but he's getting a chance to hear what Josh Allen likes and what he doesn't like. And now he can tailor that offense more to what Josh Allen is used to, the things he likes, and figure out a way to continue to use him, not only passing the ball, but also with his legs.
And remember, Joe Brady, some would say, was the mastermind behind that 2019 LSU team that got Joe Burrow to the level they got to win the NCAA.
So symmetric, and yet...
I know.
I have a
and
guy...
yet, where are we zigging? Where are we zagging? Take us there.
There you go.
About a little...
Oh, a little no look? Little, hey!
On the back, I was forgetting about Mr. Mahomes. I know they lost Tyreek Hill, but gosh, I look at that offense, and I think I don't know, this seems like an off-season segment, but they might be better than they were last year with Tyreek. The more we're hearing things out of training camp, and the more players that are stepping up in big spots, like, when you look at this depth chart, I feel like they just, like, you want to talk
That's
about names, you pick who you want out of this, and Justin Watson is the second to last name. I think he's going to be a valuable part of this offense. Sky Moore has looked incredible. Yeah. Isaiah Pacheco, wearing number 10, Tyreek's old number, is seemingly getting, and that's not including Travis Kelce.
Peter, that's the diner menu with like
every
single thing.
Yes.
That's the Cheesecake Factory.
Yes, there it is.
Although they did lose their signature dish.
They did, and that's the thing. And it's like, how are they going to step up, and how are they going to change? And I look at the coaching staff. The loss of Mike Kafka, I think, is important. He goes to the New York Giants, but Bieniemy's still there, and now they bring back Matt Nagy, who was there when they built this whole thing from the ground. I still feel like Kansas City, don't write their obituary yet. Like, I feel like that offense still has something to give, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have been in the laboratory.
Do you see one of those receivers going for 1,000 yards?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Juju is doing things that I'm hearing in practice that are special, but also in that preseason debut, Juju was used in a lot of different ways and was out there. Like, maybe it's Juju. I think he's the number one, but there's so many names that how do you defend all that?
And I think with the kind of quarterback Patrick Mahomes is, it doesn't have to be just one guy all the time. Like, the way he can throw the ball around, put it in places where you don't think you saw it coming in the first place. The original question was, are the Bengals going to be the best offense in the AFC? We essentially have admitted that we don't think so, teeing up other teams. I'll tee a third one up here with the Chargers. Another team that didn't lose anybody. Their offensive side of the ball has remained the same. They finished in the top 5 in a litany of categories last season, with the highest one being in that passing yards per game. So let's put the ball in Justin Herbert's hand and get the job done. They made an addition on the offensive line with a first-round pick in Zion Johnson. And let's talk about quarterbacks coming into their 3rd year and the maturity step that they all take. Brandon Staley is coming into his own in terms of defending his decision-making. If an offense knows you're going to be aggressive on 4th down, I think the quarterback and all the way down the list handles drives a different way if you know your coach is going to be making decisions a certain way within this offense. I think the Chargers are ripe to be an explosive offense this season compared to the Bengals.
I can't wait to watch Staley this year. I feel like he still hasn't made his signature call of his career. They're going to have 4th and 12 from their own 5, and he's going to go for it at some point. He just can't help it. It's a style, and I don't think he's going to pull it
And I
back.
love it. He can just blame the numbers.
I know.
Like,
well, that's his thing.
The Chargers are one of those teams where if I'm drafting a fantasy team, Herbert might be my first quarterback, Eckler might be my first running back, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen are getting drafted, and yet I can't say, okay, because the proof of concept isn't there. And yet that last drive, when Staley has Herbert out there of that Raiders game, and he's completing 17 passes, and it's just, it's like, okay, And Jamie, you're right. It might be them, and we might be sitting here in August, and no one's talking about the Chargers as like a Super Bowl contender or Super Bowl winner. Like, they could blow the league by right now.
Totally.